And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Saturday here on Spreaker Studio Radio. Dr. Len in studio, talking to you this morning about magnesium. Now, the purpose of this show is not to convince you that you need magnesium. Right. Now, understand one important thing. There are many minerals that have many uses within the human body as God created it. Now, it just so happens out of all of those biochemical reactions in the body, and there's thousands of them, nearly 300 biochemical reactions in the body must have magnesium to work. What are some of those? It helps to keep your nervous system normal. It helps to keep your muscle function normal. It helps to support your immune system. Helps to keep your heart beating steady. Keeps your bones strong. Regulates your blood glucose level. Aids in the production of energy. Aids in the utilization of protein. Now, there's ongoing research into the role of magnesium in preventing and managing disorders such as high blood pressure, heart disease, and diabetes. That little statement there pretty much sums up every single major consequence in the field of medicine that there is. The only thing we might leave out is cancer, even though I'm sure it plays a role there. So, we are going to talk about magnesium today. Oh, I get it in my multiple. It's there. Okay, that's fine. It's guesstimated. Ready? That nearly 70% of all Americans are deficient in magnesium. That's part one. Part two is it's guesstimated by research that Americans are lower than magnesium than any other part of the world. Now, it's also thought that this low level of magnesium is playing a critical role in why we can't get COVID under control. Could the missing piece of this puzzle be an essential mineral? So I want you to believe, I want you to understand, I want you to make sure that you gather this information properly and apply it to your health. So we're going to talk about that and the right forms of magnesium to be taken. I've got 5 or 6 different studies on magnesium, the most recent research on it. That's what we're all about. If you want to reach us in the office today to set up your personal consultation time, 678-228-8900, 678-228-8900. Our office is open on Saturdays from 10 to 2, Monday through Friday from 11 to 5. Our website is The Nutrition Shop, SHOPPE, the THE, thenutritionshop.net. You can find out all about us. So, do I have your attention? My job today is to make you a believer. Now, if we read in Scripture, one of the most famous scriptures of all time that you see all the place in football fields, people holding up placards, John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. For God did not send the Son into the world to judge the world, but that the world might be saved through him. He who believes in him is not judged. He who does not believe has been judged already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. This is the judgment, the light that has come into the world, and men loved the darkness rather than light, for their deeds were evil. For everyone who does evil hates the light, and does not come to the light for fear that his deeds will be exposed. But he who practices the truth comes to the light, so that his deeds may be manifested as having been wrought in God. Many people think that rejecting Jesus is a choice without any consequences, although They don't mind others following the Lord. They seem to be doing just fine without him. Joe Biden, trickle-down effect. However, they fail to consider both the present and eternal consequences for their unbelief. Since God's judgment is often seen as a future event, the urgency of salvation may be lost on people who want to enjoy the pleasures of earthly life and feel no need for a Savior. But Jesus said those who do not believe in him have been judged already because they love darkness and don't want their sins exposed by his light. In other words, they love their sins and are unwilling to turn from them. Living this way seems comfortable and allows them to rule their own lives according to their own desires. There are also those who claim to believe in Jesus while still loving their sins and trying to hide them from his light. But attempts to have it both ways don't work, and such people remain in darkness. The pleasures of sin, however, are temporary. The wise are those who truly believe and are eager to come to the light. They want nothing more to do with a godless lifestyle. Remember, it's never too late to come to the Lord. Now, welcome to you all. And again, if this is your first time picking us up as a podcast, my name is Len Branswitz. I am a naturopathic medical doctor, also a registered pharmacist, and board certified in clinical nutrition, and also have a doctorate in homeopathy. So we bring a lot to the table. We've been doing these sites, these forms of podcasts now. We originally had been using Blog Talk Radio. We just transitioned to Spreaker because it got us into a lot more venues. You know, you can listen to us on Alexa, Apple Radio, virtually every single platform that's out there. You can pick up our show. Just like us and continue to follow us. Now, it's ironic when we watched the news over the last couple weeks about a beautiful young lady who lost her life, originally from Florida, and was found out west. And they're still looking for the boyfriend. And films surfaced this week about hostility. And hostility in that relationship. And I want you to think about the news that you see, and the amount of shootings in the United States, and the amount of hostility in your neighborhood, I'm sure, maybe even between your neighbors. Higher magnesium levels linked to lower hostility in young Americans. Maybe we could just send an airplane up and spray the world, right? The dose-dependent association between higher magnesium levels and lower hostility in young American adults was even more pronounced among those with higher omega-3 intakes, report researchers in the journal Nutrition Research. The associations were not influenced by socio-demographic or major lifestyle factors, not affected by supplement use, not affected by depression status, report scientists from Indiana University and the University of Minnesota and Columbia University Irving Medical Center. Since hostility is associated with many health conditions, findings from this study highlight another pathway for potential benefits of magnesium intake to the development of chronic diseases, such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease, the two major predisposing factors for COVID in this country. While the study shows correlation and not causation, Mark Miller, PhD, principal at Kaveti Consulting, said the association warranted further research. The study was large, 4,716 young adults participating. Examining quartiles of dietary magnesium intake, there was a clear inverse relationship with the expression of hostility. Comparing the highest to lowest quartiles, the highest intake of magnesium had hostility scores nearly 2 times lower. The interesting aspect was this was independent of depression status at year 5, so it may be possible to differentiate hostility from depression. I would regard this finding as certainly warranted further investigation. The results add to an ever-growing body of science supporting the potential health benefits of the mineral. The National Institutes of Health, NIH, even though they're boneheads, lists magnesium as being necessary for more than 300 biochemical reactions in the body. helping to maintain normal muscle and nerve function, keeping heart rhythm steady, supporting healthy immune system, keeping your bones strong. It's also needed for blood sugar maintenance and healthy blood pressure. 70-80% of the U.S. population is reported to not be meeting the normal recommended intakes of magnesium. Finally, magnesium may also play a role as an anti-inflammatory, which may benefit hostility measures. To the best of our knowledge, the relationship between magnesium and hostility has never been directly addressed in any previous study, wrote the researchers. However, our study is consistent with a recent prospective study in eastern Finland of men aged 41 to 62 with 20 years of follow-up that showed greater magnesium intake was associated with significantly lower risk of receiving a hospital bipolar depression diagnosis. Now, for those of you that may have been diagnosed with bipolar depression, you might want to look at your magnesium levels. Isn't it interesting? When doctors do typical blood work, they'll check potassium levels, and they'll check glucose levels, and they'll check sodium and chloride. Rarely, if ever, do they check magnesium. They say, you get enough magnesium from your foods. Right. Now, let's shift gears to vitamin D, as in David. We have stressed over and over again on this show about how important vitamin D is protecting you against COVID. It's been documented. It's been out there. It's been one of the most important entities for the support of your immune system. However, over and over again, I sit down with individuals. I tell them over and over and over again about how important it is to maintain vitamin D levels. I went to my doctor and he gave me 50,000 I use once a week. And how's your vitamin D levels? I don't know. Do you know what your vitamin D level is in your blood? The blood test called 25-OHD. How about this? I have a number of people that said, I've been taking vitamin D forever, but my vitamin D levels never go up. Vitamin D cannot be metabolized without sufficient magnesium levels, meaning vitamin D remains stored and inactive in as many as 50% of all Americans. In addition, vitamin D supplements can increase a person's calcium and phosphate levels even while they remain vitamin D deficient. People may suffer from vascular calcification if their magnesium levels aren't high enough to prevent the complication. Now, let me just comment here. Doctors write scripts for statin drugs like it's going out of style. Over and over and over again, do we get statins. My cholesterol, they got to lower. I want it lower and lower and lower. And if you're a female, they've been telling you for decades now to take 1,200 milligrams of calcium every day. And as we blew out everybody's cholesterol levels, we're also causing more coronary calcification on the outside of your arteries, making them stiff and leading you to a possible heart attack or a stroke. Well, wait a minute. Isn't that why they gave me the statin drug? Yep. But statin drugs cause increased calcification. Now, please, if you're on a statin drug right now, don't stop it just because I said something. But you need to know what your magnesium levels are. Because if you take sufficient magnesium, you don't have to worry about coronary calcification much. People taking vitamin D supplements don't realize how it gets metabolized. Without magnesium, vitamin D is really not useful, or as many doctors have yelled and screamed, safe. Because it would accumulate if I don't have sufficient magnesium. So if your doctor has scared you because your vitamin D levels are in the 70s, that's good. But make sure you're taking sufficient magnesium. We'll talk about the quality and what you need to be taking here in a little bit. Now, since we were talking about hostility and we were talking about magnesium levels, let's throw this into this scenario. Magnesium helps to maintain your gut bacteria. Your gut bacteria influences brain development. Researchers discover biomarkers that indicate early brain injury in extremely premature infants. Researchers have now found possible targets for the early treatment of such damage outside the brain. Bacteria in the gut in premature infants may play a key role. What's the takeaway message? Part of the reason that we stress magnesium levels and how important they are during the course of pregnancy is the maintaining of a full-term pregnancy and stopping preeclampsia. But if we deliver premature because we didn't have enough magnesium, the baby didn't get enough magnesium for proper gut functioning, we don't get proper brain functioning. It's a complex interplay, folks. The gut, immune, brain, axis. Story number 4. Magnesium deprivation stops pathogen growth. When pathogens invade the cells, our body combats them using various methods. Researchers have now been able to show how a cellular pump keeps such invading pathogens in check. As the researchers report, this pump causes a magnesium shortage, which in turn restricts bacterial growth. In the battle of COVID, in the battle of vaccinations, could the extrapolation of this study from the University of Basel literally say that if I got the vaccination and I'm not supplementing with magnesium, my magnesium levels may have been tanked out? And if I had COVID and I tested positive for COVID and those pathogens were in my body, could you also now be extremely low in magnesium levels, which could cause a whole world of other problems? Story number 4. Magnesium supplements help boost brain power. New researchers find that an increase in brain magnesium improved learning and memory. The study, published January 28th in the issue of the journal Neuron, there's one you'd read, suggests that increasing magnesium intake may be a valid strategy to enhance cognitive abilities and support speculation that inadequate levels of magnesium impair cognitive function, leading to faster deterioration of memory in aging humans. Diets can have a significant impact on cognitive capability. Identification of dietary factors which have positive influences on these nerve synapses, where the nerves come together, the sites of communication between your nervous system, may help to enhance learning and memory and prevent the decline of memory function in age and disease. Talking to a couple this week, recently diagnosed with Parkinson's. And we're starting to see the brain function go down. And I can sit there and yell and scream that all these different supplements you're taking are depleting magnesium out of your system. And if we get your magnesium levels back up to normal, we might stop any deterioration of cognition. Magnesium is essential for the proper functioning of many tissues in the body, including the brain. And we demonstrated in this study that magnesium prompted synaptic plasticity in brain cells, explained Dr. Liu. Therefore, it was tempting to take our studies a step further and investigate whether an increase in brain magnesium levels enhanced cognitive function. Because it is difficult to boost brain magnesium levels with traditional oral supplements, Dr. Liu and colleagues developed a new magnesium compound called magnesium L-threonate. Magnesium L-threonate. It's in a prep called MagMind, M-I-N-D. Could significantly increase magnesium in the brain via dietary supplementation. They used mag-threonate to increase magnesium levels at different ages and looked at behavioral and cellular changes associated with memory. We found that increased brain magnesium enhanced many different forms of learning and memory in both young and aged animals, said Dr. Liu. A close examination of cellular changes associated with memory revealed an increase in the number of functional synapses, activation of key signaling molecules, and enhancement of short and long-term synaptic processes that are crucial for learning and memory. Now, lastly, and I could go on. I've been to seminars where we've had 4 to 5 hours of research just on the deficiency of magnesium. This is the biggie. University of Bristol. Magnesium could prevent fractures. No, not calcium. Magnesium. Magnesium can hold the key to preventing one of the most preventable causes of disability in middle-aged and elderly people, according to new research led by academics at the University of Bristol and Eastern Finland. Bone fractures are one of the leading causes of disability and ill health, especially among an aging population, and this increases the burden on the healthcare system. It is well known that calcium and vitamin D play an important role in bone health. Magnesium is an essential nutrient and is an important component of the bone. Though there have been suggestions that magnesium may have beneficial effects on bone health, no study has been able to show its effect on bone fractures. So researchers from the University of Bristol in Eastern Finland followed 2,245 middle-aged men over a 20-year period. They found that men with lower blood levels of magnesium had an increased risk of fractures, particularly fractures of the hip. The risk of having a fracture was reduced by 44% in men with the highest blood levels of magnesium. Although blood levels of magnesium depend on magnesium intake from food and water, this may not be the case for the elderly, people with certain bowel disorders, or those on certain medications. For such people, increasing the intakes of foods rich in magnesium may not necessarily increase blood magnesium levels. If you're on a PPI, a proton pump inhibitor, omeprazole, Prilosec, Nexium, it's inhibiting your magnesium levels. These new findings have public health implications as low levels of magnesium are very common in the elderly. Now, magnesium L-threonate is very specialized, just so you know. Very specialized prep. Called MagMind. A little pricey, but for those that are really suffering brain deterioration quickly, it can turn you around rapidly. For those that are having sleep issues, and we're taking every sleep prep in the world and I still can't sleep, MagMind tends to be a great adjunct to calm the brain and allow it to come back into normality. Now, do you need a lot of magnesium? I'll say this. The majority of physicians write for something called magnesium oxide, which if you've ever been, and you're my age, to a barber and got your neck shaved, and they put barber's talc on there. Made you smell good, made you feel good. That was mag oxide. It's probably one of the least absorbable forms of magnesium. And the only use of magnesium oxide is the magnesium part, not the oxide part. So in laboratory work, you can take chelation techniques, and there's a great company called Albion that does this work, where they add magnesium oxide and some gluconate together from 383 milligrams of amino acid chelated magnesium, and they produce raw, immediately available forms of magnesium. The one that we like is called Mag 133. You don't need these massive amounts. What you need is bioavailable forms of magnesium. Now, I agree. You need most of your magnesium to come from food. And every vegetable you eat, every fruit you eat has magnesium in it. So let's look at chelated magnesium. Mag 133 by Foster Regal. We have it made for us in Tennessee, an American source. It's our go-to. It conforms to all USP regulations for disintegration for maximum bioavailability. Mag 133. Inexpensive, highly effective, and you should be on it. I can't really think of many reasons why anybody would not be adding that to their supplement regimen every day. It's on our website at thenutritionshop, shoppe.net, thenutritionshop.net, or just simply call our office today at 678-228-8900. You call our office any day and find out more about Mag 133. Hopefully you learned something today, and you'll be back with us each and every day as we do this Spreaker Studio work. We're trying to get this message around the world. We're going to hit this each and every day until we do. We want this world to be a healthier place. God bless you, folks. We're praying for you all. Have a great, healthy weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday. Take care.